Next on Worcester News tonight, a call to action. Molly Bish's family marks 18 years since she's been missing by working to change legislation. Plus, an alarming demonstration shows the power and speed of an uncontrolled fire and the effectiveness of sprinklers. Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Olivia Lemon. Nearly 2 decades ago, Molly Bish vanished. Her killer has yet to be identified, but on this anniversary, her family isn't holding any vigils or events. They're asking people to contact local senators to help change the laws on how missing children cases are handled. Our Chandler Walsh joins us now to explain. Chandler?
Olivia, a bill on state policy for abducted children passed unanimously in the House and is now in the state Senate. Instead of spending the day reflecting on Molly's life, her family is coping by advocating for the bill and child safety. 18 years later, and Heather Bish is still looking for answers about her sister's abduction. 16-year-old Molly Bish was taken from her lifeguard post at Cummins Pond in Warren.
How I miss my sister doesn't change. I often compare it to losing an arm or a limb. You know, you sort of learn how to live without it, but it's still not there. There's still a hole in your heart.
On the anniversary of Molly's abduction, the family is calling for action. A bill now in the state Senate could prevent what happened to Molly from happening to other children.
To ask everyone to call your senator and ask them to support Amendment 908 to protect children.
The bill would require police officers to go through a 2-hour training for missing children cases and would set uniform policies for officers throughout the state to follow.
The sooner that the police can be on the case and that there are set protocols to follow, a better chance of having a child returned unharmed.
Bish says 76% of children abducted by a stranger are killed in the first 3 hours. It's the same amount of time it took before police called the Bish family when Molly was abducted.
When they went to the crime scene, it was a mess. People had already touched the lifeguard kit, disturbed the entire scene. It was chaos.
Molly's remains were found years after her abduction, but her killer is still unknown. Bish is hopeful they're close to answers thanks to recent DNA testing.
We've actually have enough DNA that we're able to say that there's someone out there besides Molly's DNA, and we just need to match it.
State Senator Ann Goby says the bill is now being looked over by a committee. The Senate will decide whether to include it in their budget in the coming weeks. Chandler Walsh, Worcester News Tonight.
A Worcester chiropractor is indicted in connection to an insurance fraud scheme. According to the Massachusetts Attorney General, Dr. Kelly Chow allegedly falsely billed insurance companies for items she did not provide and for services not rendered to patients. 47-year-old Chow is a licensed chiropractor and the owner of Healing Hands on Burncoat Street. According to the AG's office, she's been indicted on several charges, including motor vehicle insurance fraud and larceny over $1,200. She will be arraigned in Worcester Superior Court at a later date. A Worcester Superior Court judge has denied an injunction filed by the town of Southbridge. The town requested a preliminary injunction to order Casella to continue curbside collection through 2027. According to the Telegram, the town says the landfill operator is obligated to provide curbside collection until 2027 under the terms of a 20-year agreement signed in 2007. In a written decision Monday, the judge denied Southbridge's motion without prejudice. The town can renew the motion when potential harm is immediate. 3 state police troopers arrested on federal theft charges. They're accused of being paid for hours they didn't work. It's the latest in an overtime scandal for the agency. Caroline Connolly has the latest from Boston.
Weeks after the state shut down this state police unit, 3 troopers from it are now facing federal charges.
They misuse their positions solely for their own financial benefit.
In a press conference today, federal investigators said they found more than $50,000 had been embezzled by members of the now defunct Troop E, which oversaw the Mass Pike. They arrested retired trooper Paul Season, suspended trooper Gary Herman, and retired Lieutenant David Wilson for allegedly claiming several $1,000s each in overtime for shifts they either did not work or left early from back in 2016.
Change the dates on old tickets or fabricated tickets in there entirely.
U.S. Attorney Andrew Lelling said the men did this while working traffic enforcement details on the Pike, but they may not be the only ones. After an internal review by state police highlighted the problem, several troopers have been suspended or retired. The governor has issued sweeping reforms. Lelling's office now says these latest charges could just be the start of more.
It could be a systemic problem in the state police. We have records beyond 2016, and if they show us information allowing us to prove charges, we'll move forward with those.
I'm Caroline Conley for Worcester News Tonight.
A live demonstration at the Department of Fire Services shows how quickly a fire can spread. It also shows a life-saving tool firefighters recommend everyone installs in their homes. Our ROSLYN FLAHERTY joins us now to explain. ROSLYN?
Olivia, the demonstration showed how fire sprinklers can contain a fire in less than a minute, which firefighters say gives people more time to escape. In just 2.5 minutes, this room is at flashover.
That's not survivable.
A mock demonstration at the Department of Fire Services shows the speed of an uncontrolled fire in a mobile sprinkler unit. One room has the benefit of sprinklers, the other does not. Sprinklers pour 13 gallons of water per minute on the fire, containing it in 50 seconds.
Where the fire starts, the sprinkler is designed to keep it there so that the firefighters can get there, put the fire out, rescue the people.
Shane Ray is the president of the National Fire Sprinkler Association. The NFSA donated the mobile unit for Wednesday's demonstration. Ray says sprinklers are typically installed in commercial buildings, but homes are often forgotten. He says more than 80% of people who die in fires die in their home.
In your homes, that's where you're asleep and those things. So in commercial buildings, the codes and standards have evolved over the years that we have adequate exits, the door size. All those regulations that sometimes we think we don't want, they're there for a purpose. And most of them created on the heels of a tragedy.
State Fire Marshal Peter Ostrowski says modern items like furniture are loaded with synthetic materials and can be toxic.
Gives off that dark, black, disorienting, disabling smoke, but it also promotes flame spread.
Ostrowski says demonstrations like this educate people on how important fire sprinklers are.
Sprinklers save lives.
Now, the donation of the mobile unit includes $10,000 for it to be refurnished for fire departments to use across the state. ROSLYN FLAHERTY, Worcester News Tonight.
Providing a safe and structured environment. It's the goal of U Inc.'s group home for young men in central Massachusetts. The U Inc. George Bernardin Oxford House is a long-term intensive group home for adolescent boys who have experienced significant adverse life events impacting their function at home, school, and in the community. Wednesday, the Worcester Whalers announced a $100,000 pledge over the next 3 years to support their psychiatry department.
What they were looking to do over the next few years with the expansion, and we couldn't think of a better, more fitting partner than U Inc.
A lot of agencies struggle with having in-house psychiatry resources, and so we are looking to invest in expanding that capability and really offering more services not only to the clients that we serve at U Inc., but also the broader community.
Bye.
And U Inc. says their psychiatry department is a critical foundation to many of its most intensive services that support mental health for children and adolescents. The Fairlawn Foundation awarding almost $360,000 in grants to address mental health needs in Worcester. The fund is focused on innovative projects such as closing gaps in service and increasing the supply of qualified and culturally competent mental health professionals. 6 different organizations were awarded, including U Inc. State health officials announced they found samples of the West Nile virus in mosquitoes for the first time this year. The Massachusetts Department of Public Health says samples were found in Norfolk County, but the entire state should now take notice when going outside. Our Cam Jandro has more.
The state of Massachusetts announces their first positive samples of West Nile virus in mosquitoes. The mosquitoes were found in Weymouth, but health experts here in central Massachusetts want residents to prepare.
Avoiding being out dawn and dusk, so that's 2. Dressing correctly with long sleeves and potentially with treated clothing. DEET, and drain standing water.
Dr. Michael Hirsch is medical director for Worcester's Division of Public Health. He says people over the age of 50 have a higher risk, as well as those with weaker immune systems.
So patients with HIV or patients who are on steroids for other reasons, patients that are on chemotherapy for cancer.
Last year, Massachusetts saw 6 human cases of West Nile virus. Symptoms can include high fever, double vision, and in rare cases, severe illness. Parents like Orlando Rodriguez say they take extra precautions with summer here.
That is definitely something that you think about and you worry about to make sure it doesn't affect you or your children. We make sure he has the spray and everything that he needs to keep them away. Same for myself.
Dr. Hirsch says the unusual winter weather has made it difficult to determine how bad mosquitoes could be in 2018.
We didn't really have a bad stretch of freezing kind of snow conditions until March, and so it's really unpredictable whether the damage was already done as far as egg laying goes, and so we may have a bad summer with mosquitoes.
Cam Jandro, Worcester News Tonight.